Wenn die älteren Jahrgänge noch bangen werden könnten, die Jugend ist uns verschrieben und verfallen mit Leibesfehlen.
In 1939, as war escalated, he, the country.
Ja, ich habe nie einen solchen Befehl bekommen. Er hat einmal gefragt, nicht wahr? Am 14. Mai 1942 war der Großadmiral Räder und ich bei ihm.
The other platforms every day. You see me in some of those tapes.
Hi, Mr. Hartley.
Morning, Thomas. But he was friends with everyone. Even that simple bloke who could only say where he lived.
So doch.
But his favourite trains were the old steam engines.
Steam engines were a dying art on the British mainland, but Hans also had a fondness for them, much like his son, and likes to keep them running for our purposes, taking orders from the labs to the growing docks, or to the mainland to be transferred to modern postal express trains. But as the Sodor rail system expanded, it found itself increasingly under the supervision of the new British rail network and appointed a new controller.
I'm gonna be late. What's the time? Thomas, get moving.
Young Thomas loved following railway. He'd be out all the time, hoping to catch a new train on his camera.
11:45's coming through soon. He won't wait for us.
Unfortunately, he didn't take as much notice of the safety signs.
I'm not being late again. Have we missed it yet? Wait for the 11:45. Never mind the 11:45. It must be late again. Tommy, come on. It's always held up.
The doors of Sodor Research were reopened. In an open invitation to the people of the island, Thomas rolled out of Shed 17.
It took me a moment to realise what it was I was looking at. When he looked at me and said,
Hiya, Mr. Hartley.
it dawned on me what Hans Gotze and his dad had done. One woman passed out as Thomas smiled at us. I had to run off around the side of the shed.
Hey, are you alright, Keith?
He announced that for his last scene, he had to pull into Wellsworth Station and whistle to the kids on the platform.
Keep it! Whistled Edward. Thank you very much.
Sadly, this was only the first in an increasing number of incidents. Harold had a kept secret until now. Maybe the diesel engine was to be the first biofuel locomotive used on the railway.
We fueled her up and everything seemed fine. Then things got out of hand.
The diesel began to burn her internal organs. Everything organic in the engine was soon burning.
Have you ever heard a locomotive scream in pain? I tried rinsing out the fuel tank with water, but by then it was too late.
Maybe his body would be kept under lock and key indefinitely. Shows engines being displayed to tourists during the off-season. Many of these engines were failed biofusion experiments and were too ill to work or were already dead. They had to put a stop to that, though.
With all accidents happening, everyone started asking the same thing. Why?
His father, Wilhelm, would go one step further. Master Wilhelm couldn't come to terms with what was happening to his engines, and took the only course he thought he could take.
That fat got a load of us rail staff over to his house to clean up after the body was taken away. You should have seen it. Sawdust everywhere. It took up.
The rail staff and I fired up the engine. As usual, these experiments were filmed. This footage has never been broadcast before.
Dr. Routh and I filmed it all.
It might be a bit shaky. It was handheld. At first, Gordon complained about the heat. Then that turned to pleas to douse the fire.
But that fat bastard held us back. He wanted to see what would happen.
He argued he had put a lot of work into Gordon, and the chances to get him working were too great an opportunity. It was literally cooking from the inside. By the time we were allowed to act, it was too late.
I wasn't as near to him.